serving with the U.S. forces in Kuwait?
We were in Saudi Arabia. So we were the 14th evac hospital. We were stationed in Saudi Arabia, about 30 miles from the border. And we treated a lot of patients. And look, I'm glad we're bringing this up because we were a hospital unit. So that means we treated people regardless of their race, regardless of their nationality, regardless of their gender, and we treated them with civility. In other words, when they came to our hospital, there was a way they were treated just because they were a human. Watch this. Civility says that every life is valuable. You know, right now in the world, we have certain things that we're dealing with, and we're dealing with the COVID-19 virus. A while back, what plagued us was the AIDS virus. I mean, there's all these things that we deal with, but what I want everybody to think about is, I believe that before we were created, we were given a mission. Right? I'm a Christian, I'm not afraid to say it, and so it says, I knew the plans I had for you before you were born, right? But we disregard those plans. Listen to this, if everybody was created for a purpose, how do we know that we didn't kill the person that has the answer to the next virus we face? How do we know that we didn't kill the person that was supposed to bring a new idea or a new invention that would make every life valuable or more effective? And sometimes we don't kill them physically, sometimes we kill them emotionally, sometimes we kill them spiritually, sometimes we take their voice away. And so the very person that's supposed to help us right now, we may have taken their voice away. Why? Because they're female. And we don't feel like females can be leaders. Well, I got a statement for you. If a female can give birth to a president or a prime minister or CEO, then they can be a prime minister, a CEO, or a president. Why? Because in order for it to come through you, it has to be a part of you. And so at some point, we have to use civility to bring the ideas of everyone to the table.
So positive neuropsychology, you have a PhD in it from what I've done, the research, and you describe that as a field where basically you try and look at the positive, where you want to end up, not where you are and where you've come from, but where you want to end up, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so while the military shaped you, this training, this bit of education, how's that shaped you or guided you?
Listen, it was my purpose that made me want the PhD. I didn't want to teach. I didn't want to be in school. I didn't want to do that. I'm a speaker. I speak all over the world. My mentor was Les Brown. We traveled to South Africa together. He invited me to London, England, Montego Bay, Jamaica. We've been all throughout the U.S. together, and he's one of the top 5 speakers in the world. And as I would watch him on stage, I would see the audience act and react to what he was saying, and then there was a commonality, no matter what country we were in, that people were facing the same things, the same issues. He never gave the same speech because he doesn't have a canned speech, but he gave the same principles in different areas. And I wondered, how could these same principles help people in the US and help people in Johannesburg, South Africa, and London, England? And it's because there is a uniqueness that we have as individuals, but a commonality that we have as humans. And so what I wanted to do was understand some of the things that plague them. Where do they get stuck? And what can I do to create an experience for them to get past that? So what I knew is, in order to do something different, you have to learn something different. And so I pursued this education. And once I learned it, now I use those techniques in my live events. I've done several live events in Kenya, starting in 2019. I was going to have one in 2020, but COVID took care of that. I had one in July of this year. I have one coming up in November of this year. And so I use these techniques to bring the audience to a new level of thinking of the possibilities, not just in their personal life, but for the country. We're talking about civility for Kenya. You started off with a quote from Helen Keller, but another thing she said was, the only thing worse than being blind was to have sight with no vision. And so if we're going to say that Kenya is violent, that's because we have sight but not vision. I'm not talking about what has happened in the past. I'm talking about a vision for the future. Yeah, it was violent, but how can it be non-violent? How can it be civil? You don't get there from sight, you get there from vision.